6 Ways Trump's Executive Orders Are Targeting Transgender People. PBS. Jeff Mulvihill. Politics. President Donald Trump has targeted transgender and non-binary people with a series of executive orders since he returned to office. He has done it with strong language. In one executive order, he asserted, medical professionals are maiming and sterilizing a growing number of impressionable children under the radical and false claim that adults can change a child's sex. That's a dramatic reversal of the policies of former President Joe Biden's administration, and of major medical organizations that supported gender-affirming care. Watch. Transgender Americans share concerns about Trump's threats to roll back rights. American Civil Liberties Union lawyer Shruti Swaminathan said that to be put into effect, provisions of the orders should first go through federal rulemaking procedures, which can be years long and include the chance for public comment. When you have the nation's commander-in-chief demonizing transgender people, it certainly sends a signal to all Americans, said Sarah Warbelow, the legal director at Human Rights Campaign. Things to know about Trump's actions. Recognizing people as only men or women. On Trump's first day back in office, he issued a sweeping order that signaled a big change in how his administration would deal with transgender people and their rights. It questions their existence by saying the government would recognize only two unchangeable sexes, female and male. The stated purpose is to protect women. Efforts to eradicate the biological reality of sex fundamentally attack women by depriving them of their dignity, safety, and well-being, the order says. The document calls on government agencies to use the new definitions of the sexes, and to stop using taxpayer money to promote what it calls gender ideology, the idea broadly accepted by medical experts that gender falls along a spectrum. Federal agencies have been quick to comply. Andrea Lucas, the acting chair of the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, for example, announced this week that she would remove identity pronouns from employees' online profiles and disallow the X gender marker for those filing discrimination charges. Biology is not bigotry. Biological sex is real, and it matters, Lucas said in a statement. On Friday, information about what Trump calls gender ideology was removed from federal government websites and the term gender was replaced by sex to comport with the order. The Bureau of Prisons stopped reporting the number of transgender incarcerated people, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention removed lessons on building supportive school environments for transgender and non-binary students. Researchers have found less than 1% of adults identify as transgender and under 2% are intersex, are born with physical traits that don't fit typical definitions for male or female. Requests denied for passport gender markers. In the order calling for a new federal definition of the sexes, Trump included some specific instances in which policy should be changed, including on passports. The State Department promptly stopped granting requests for new or updated passports with gender markers that don't conform with the new definition. The agency is no longer issuing the documents with an X that some people who identify as neither male nor female request, and will not honor requests to change the gender markers between M and F for transgender people. The option to choose X was taken off online passport application forms Friday. The ACLU says it's considering a lawsuit. Transgender women moved into men's prisons. Trump's initial order called for transgender women in federal custody to be moved to men's prisons. Warbelow, from Human Rights Campaign, said her organization has received reports from lawyers that some have been. The Federal Bureau of Prisons did not immediately respond to requests for information about such moves. There have been at least 2 lawsuits trying to block the policy. In one, a federal judge has said a transgender woman in a Massachusetts prison should be housed with the general population of a woman's prison and continue to receive gender-affirming medical care for now. Opening the door to another ban on transgender service members. Trump set the stage for a ban on transgender people in the military, directing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to come up with a new policy on the issue by late March. In the executive order, the president asserted that being transgender conflicts with a soldier's commitment to an honorable, truthful, and disciplined lifestyle, even in one's personal life. Trump aims to push transgender troops out of the military. Identifying people will be complicated. Trump barred transgender service members in his first term in office, but a court blocked the effort. A group of active military members promptly sued over the new order this week. Defunding gender-affirming medical care for transgender youth. Trump called for halting the use of federal money to support gender-affirming medical care for transgender youth under 19 years old. The care in question includes puberty-blocking drugs, hormone therapy and gender-affirming surgery, which is rare for minors. Study finds gender-affirming medical care for minors is very rare, refuting political narrative. If fully implemented, the order would cut off government health insurance including Medicaid and TRICARE, which serves military families, for the treatments. It also calls on Congress to adopt a law against the care, though whether that happens is up to lawmakers. 26 states already have passed laws banning or limiting gender-affirming care for minors, so the change could be smaller in those places. Some hospitals have paused some gender-affirming care for people under 19 following the executive order while they evaluate how it might apply to them. Barring schools from helping students social transitioning. Another executive order this week seeks to stop radical indoctrination in the nation's school system. It calls on the Education Department to come up with a policy blocking schools from using federal funds to support students who are socially transitioning or using their curriculum to promote the idea that gender can be fluid, along with certain teachings about race. The order would block schools from requiring teachers and other school staff to use names and pronouns that align with transgender students' gender identify rather than the sex they were assigned at birth. Some districts and states have passed those requirements to prevent dead naming, the practice of referring to transgender people who have changed their name by the name they used before their transition. It is widely considered insensitive, offensive or traumatizing. By Carla K. Johnson, Associated Press. Health info wiped from federal websites following Trump order targeting transgender rights. Health January 31, 2025, 6:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Public health data disappeared from websites, entire web pages went blank and employees erased pronouns from email signatures Friday as federal agencies scrambled to comply with a directive tied to President Donald Trump's order rolling back protections for transgender people. The Office of Personnel Management directed agency heads to strip gender ideology from websites, contracts and emails in a memo sent Wednesday, with changes ordered to be instituted by 5 p.m. Friday. It also directed agencies to disband employee resource groups, terminate grants and contracts related to the issue, and replace the term gender with sex on government forms. Some parts of government websites appeared with the message, "The page you're looking for was not found." Some pages disappeared and came back intermittently. Asked by reporters Friday about reports that government websites were being shut down to eliminate mentions of diversity, equity and inclusion, Trump said he didn't know anything about it but that he'd endorse such a move. "I don't know. That doesn't sound like a bad idea to me," Trump said, adding that he campaigned promising to stamp out such initiatives. Watch. Trump administration ends government diversity programs and takes aim at DEI nationwide. Much public health information was taken down from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's website. Contraception guidance, a fact sheet about HIV and transgender people, lessons on building supportive school environments for transgender and non-binary kids, details about National Transgender HIV Testing Day, a set of government surveys showing transgender students suffering higher rates of depression, drug use, bullying and other problems. Eliminating health resources creates dangerous gaps in scientific information, disease experts said. The Infectious Diseases Society of America, a medical association, issued a statement decrying the removal of information about HIV in people who are transgender. Accesses, critical to efforts to end the HIV epidemic, the organization's leaders said. A Bureau of Prisons web page originally titled, Inmate Gender, was relabeled, Inmate Sex, on Friday. A breakdown of transgender inmates in federal prisons was no longer included. The State Department on Friday removed the option to select X as a gender on passport applications for non-binary applicants. It also replaced the word gender from the descriptor with the word sex. All State Department employees were ordered to remove gender-specific pronouns from their email signatures. The directive, from the acting head of the Bureau of Management, said this was required to comply with Trump's executive orders and that the department was also removing all references to gender ideology from websites and internal documents. All employees are required to remove any gender-identifying pronouns from email signature blocks by 5 p.m. today, said the order from Tiber Nagy. Your cooperation is essential as we navigate these changes together. An official from the U.S. Agency for International Development said staffers were directed to flag the use of the word gender in each of thousands of award contracts. Warnings against gender discrimination are standard language in every such contract. The official spoke on condition of anonymity for fear of reprisal, under a Trump administration gag order prohibiting USAID staffers from speaking with people outside their agency. The official said staffers fear that programs and jobs related to inclusion efforts, gender issues and issues specific to women are being singled out and possibly targeted under 2 Trump executive orders. Some Census Bureau and National Park Service pages also were inaccessible or giving error messages. Trump's executive order, signed on his first day back in office, calls for the federal government to define sex as only male or female and for that to be reflected on official documents such as passports and policies such as federal prison assignments. Mike Staub in New York and Amanda Seitz, Matthew Lee, Will Wasert and Ellen Nickmeyer in Washington contributed to this report.
If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and leave a comment below. See you next time.